Hello, and welcome to In Your Ear Radio. Excuse me. I'm your host, Latoya. Thank you for joining me today. I'm checking in, making sure you guys can hear me and giving you guys a minute to get on this beautiful Saturday in Vegas. It's lovely weather. It's hard to stay in the house when the weather's so nice on a day like today. So I know a lot of you may be out and about and may catch this live a little later. For those of you who are joining me live, though, I love and appreciate you for it. And those who watch later, I love and appreciate you as well. Thank you very much. And I'll go ahead and share this video. Hope you guys are doing good out there. So I've posted the subject matter today on In Your Ear Radio with your host Latoya is talking about if that was meism. So I definitely want to break that down because I'm feeling some type of way about the response that my people are having towards things that are people that are being victimized in our country. The way that they're being victimized is unacceptable. And it's not enough to just say, if that was me, how I would have reacted to it. So I definitely want to dig into that conversation as well. Let's see. Okay, video share. We are live. Wow. So it's a lot in the news, you guys. There's so much going on in the news. Where do we start, right? Where do we start? A lot of trauma, a lot of trauma hitting us back to back to back. If it's not something to do with violence, if it's not something to do with mass shootings, people passing, a lot of negative, unfortunate situations happening. And it's just so sad and unfortunate, but it's the world that we live in. And, it's hard to, think that we should at this point be numb to what's happening in this world. Some kind of way be desensitized, but it almost seems like that is the only way to be able to maneuver through what's going on with us. So it's a lot. It really is a lot to deal with. And I try to fall back from a lot of the news. I try not to watch so much of it. I don't watch a lot of news. I read a lot and I listen to radio a lot to get information. And then, of course, I read and I, research and learn more about it. But seeing videos and the trauma and people's lives being taken, people being victimized and brutalized and killed and all of the awful things I'd rather not see. I have enough trauma in my life. I don't need anything added to it. And I'm sure you guys can agree with that. So again, if you're just hopping on, thank you for joining the live on In Your Ear Radio. I'm your host, Latoya. Please feel free to like and share, hit that like button and share. And, we're here for each other, right? We are here. This is a platform. Feel free to, for you to express your feelings about what's happening in the world today as we talk about it live in the chat. So feel free to do that as well. For those of you watching on YouTube too, thank you, and I appreciate you as well on YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning in. The Johnson and Johnson vaccine. So the latest news, as you guys know, a lot of people are getting vaccinated, but the Johnson and Johnson vaccine is pretty much helping to contribute to a lot of people's concerns and reasons why they don't want to be vaccinated. And I understand those concerns, but this vaccine and then what's come up recently is unfortunate. It's making it a little bit making people even more skeptical, right? So the Johnson and Johnson vaccine just reported and have put a halt on their distribution of vaccinations after 6 women between the ages of 18 and 48 were found to have blood clots within 2 weeks of taking the dose, and that's really, really unfortunate. We know blood clots can cause you to lose your life. And, these 6 women out of over 7 million, close to 8 million doses without any severe side effects known, reported, is, I think, good. I'm glad they didn't report that 7 million people were experiencing blood clots. But those 6 women, of course, don't deserve to have that experience. One woman did die, unfortunately. The CDC and the FDA is reviewing the data with the federal vaccine. And again, they have paused it. I had an aunt she told me she kept changing her mind about getting it. But the last time we talked was the day before it was reported. She said, I'm going to make my appointment this time and I'm going to go ahead and get the vaccine. And then the next day after she got the vaccine, this report came out. So, you know, in our hypochondriac mind, we get sick thinking about the fact that we could get sick. And prayers up for her. She knows that she's protected. But it's just scary. You try to do the right thing. You try to do what you think is going to help save your life or maybe protect others. And then you have to deal with things like this. And we understand, the skepticism with our government. It's not, anything unusual to have skepticism with our government. Shout out to Pieces of She. Thank you for joining us on YouTube Live. And again, those who are watching on Facebook, thank you guys for joining me on this live on this beautiful Saturday. You could be outside enjoying yourself, but you're here with me. Or maybe you're outside because you can watch this anywhere, right? But yeah, this is so unfortunate. I think that they're going to resume. I think that they will resume eventually with this Johnson and Johnson. I know a lot of the skepticism with Johnson and Johnson in particular is because it wasn't as effective as the Moderna and the Pfizer. Also with the prior lawsuits with the talcum powder, um, you know, and then a lot of people are just upset that the government isn't offering other responses or ways in which to protect ourselves from dying, because that's what the vaccine is all about, right? Protecting yourself from dying or being hospitalized is healthy eating. And I'm going to keep speaking up for those who don't have a voice, to say that it's easier said than done. For those of us who can afford to eat healthy, who have access to healthy food, who have access to vitamins and minerals, who have access to clean water, who have access to the things that will help us stay healthy and aren't going through things that may, personally in their home that may cause them not to have access, or who were born with pre-existing conditions and do need a little help. What about those people? And I'm not, again, advocating for the vaccine or against it, but I'm just saying when people are wagging their finger and saying we just need to, tell people to just eat better and take care of themselves, that's just not enough for a lot of people. For those of us who can, we should. And, hopefully that will protect us. I know that's what I've been doing, but I know that a lot of people don't have access. Shout out to, I'm going to forget his name, a hip hop mogul. It'll come to me in a minute, but he actually just had a grocery store built. I think it was a Kroger had a grocery store built in New Orleans within the project neighborhood. And there's some controversy associated with that because one of his partners, a white man, was also someone who was at the insurrection actually and was fighting, protesting and rioting and doing some thuggish, terroristic things to civilians, police officers, and people working, is a partner with him in New Orleans. So that is, I don't know why his name is not coming to me. It happens to me sometimes. But anyway, he's a rapper in New Orleans. I'm trying to Cash Money. It's not Cash Money, but it'll come to me. Anybody in the chat that has a clue who I'm talking about. Hate when that happens. But yeah, his name is Master P. So yeah, he had a grocery store built in that community. So just think about that. You already have poor people living in a community, right? And then you have people who don't have access to Whole Foods. They have to, go to the corner stores. Before this grocery store was put in the project neighborhood in New Orleans with Master P and his partner, aka his partner is an insurrectionist. They had to go to corner stores, bodegas and corner stores. And what do you get at corner stores? You get packaged food, you get processed food, you don't get healthy eating. And again, it's not always affordable. And a lot of people that live in these project communities, low income communities, don't have, they may be disabled. So they may not be able to get up and get out. They may not have family or friends who are checking on them and making sure they have what they need. They need to have something close and nearby. So it's easy to say, push for everybody to eat healthy, but they need to have access. So if you really want to be a part of change, be the change that you want to see. And that's what this conversation is about today, because like I said, it's a lot of, if that was meism, but it is you. It is you. And it could be you next. And it could be somebody you love next in any of these situations. You just count your blessings that it's not you at the time, but making people are emboldened to do the things that they do and treat us the way that they treat us, because people are just, and not everybody, I'm generalizing, people are just talking about if that was me and what they would do. And that's, just talk. So, you have a lot of people who are trying to make change. Again, I talked about Master P putting the grocery store so that the community has access, his people, and that's a way of giving back. You have people, Senator Cory Booker, who's been campaigning for many, many years against food deserts in communities where poor people don't have access to fresh food. and clean water. So these are the kind of things that cause people to have pre-existing conditions, no matter how many pieces of spinach they eat. If your water's dirty, if you're drinking lead, or you can't afford to buy clean water and filters and all of these things, then what amount of vegetables and vitamins is going to help you if you're mixing that with poison? So, hopefully these vaccines will keep some of these people alive who are taking the vaccine. Um, but Johnson and Johnson, yeah, that's not a good look. I know there was a man who was advised to get the Johnson and Johnson due to he previously had COVID, and he was told that if you've had COVID, then you only need one shot, and that's why Johnson and Johnson was recommended for him. I know some people are going to get the shot. One of my sisters is taking her second shot. I think it's Pfizer. I want to say Moderna. Moderna. Either one. She's taking her second shot today, and I'm hoping everything works out for her. And I know some people, and she's saying she's going to take medicine, some Tylenol or something. I know that I did hear doctors recommend not taking the medication until after the shot. I have not heard why, but it has been recommended by doctors to not take any medication until after. I don't know if there's any adverse effects or anything, but again, some side effects are expected. And they're saying that some of the side effects that you get is a good sign that it is fighting and working in your system. So that's a good look. So for those who are taking the Johnson and Johnson, have taken it, prayers up to you. I'm thinking you're going to be okay. Over 872 million doses have been distributed worldwide. 17.2 million doses a day are being given, according to Bloomberg. In the U.S., it's been approximately 206 million doses have been given so far in the last week, and that's an average of about 3.2 million people getting the doses a day. Again, we need at least 70 to 85%, according to the doctors, of the U.S. population to be vaccinated in order to enable us to really return to normalcy. And we know that our governor is saying that I think it's in May or June that we're going to open up 100%. And again, I still have conflicting concerns about this vaccine because I'm hearing that it's just like the flu vaccine. You have to get it every year. It does not protect you from getting it. It protects you from being deathly ill or hospitalized. So when I'm hearing this conversation about herd immunity, which is, the protection from infectious disease, and that occurs when a sufficient fraction of the population has become immune by way of vaccine. I'm not sure if this applies to this COVID vaccine, and I'm confused about it. I really am. It's a lot of conflicting information, and it's a wonder why people are skeptical about taking these vaccines because we really don't know what's going on, what these people are really saying to us, because it's conflicting. It really is conflicting. It's still highly contagious whether you are vaccinated or not. Again, so how is this going to be herd immunity by everybody getting vaccinated? It's not the same as chickenpox and measles where you get it once and you're done. This is something that's going to have to go on, who knows, every year. As far as we know, as science has taught us so far, that it's known to be at least effective for 6 months. So yeah, so thank you. Hey, I see you, LaBrea. Thank you for joining me on YouTube. I hope you're doing good. It was good to see you yesterday. Pieces of She is saying, what about these 12-month boosters that is now recommended? Right, right. So what is herd immunity? If you have to keep getting it, it's not stopping you from getting sick. It's stopping you from dying after being sick. It's not stopping you from spreading it. So there's still a lot of confusion about that. And I understand the vaccine insecurities when we think about how Black and Native American and Puerto Rican women were being sterilized by way of eugenics. This was back, as 1960s and in the early 1900s, 1929 to 1974 in North Carolina, 7,600 people were sterilized. So they were sterilizing women who they felt like were not fit for society, mental health issues, I don't know, classism, poverty, things of that nature, where women thought they were going in for regular checkup and their uteruses, they were having their uterus taken out. They were having hysterectomies. So I understand the scaredness of it. Are they doing this to try to, take our lives or to make us infertile and so much? So it's a lot to be worried about, right? So, prayers up to you guys. And again, you're with your girl, Toya, on you in your ear radio. Beautiful, beautiful Saturday. I can't say that enough, and I'm enjoying it. Listen, I don't watch a lot of basketball, but I just had to mention this because my first show that I ever did was Within Your Ear Radio. The topic of discussion was the N-word. So when I read that Kyrie Irving and Dennis Schroeder went at it because they had a beef where he was called the N-word, and he had words for him after calling him the N-word. I said, okay, That's what I'm talking about. So he went on to say that the N word. This is Brooklyn Nets. These two, one from Brooklyn Nets, of course, and the other from Los Angeles Lakers. He said the N word, it will never be a term of endearment. He said, just don't call me that. So they were having some type of altercation on the court, Kyrie Irving and Dennis Schroeder, and his response was not to call me that. And I respect that. That's the way I feel about it. I think we do need to bury the word. I still feel that way. I've listened to different perspectives and I understand where people are coming from. But I think, just to avoid all confusion, let's just get rid of the N word. So I just wanted to shout out that incident and just say I like the way that he let him know we're not using that ever. Especially that was a public forum. You on a basketball court, like people heard that. Okay, so yeah, yeah, no, yeah, we can throw that right out the window. So it's a very racist word. Let's just throw it right out the window, right along with all of the other racist words used to describe my people. Throw them all out the window. So again, this topic of today is if that was meism. And this conversation needs to be had. We need to have a conversation. And I want to say that I'm tired. I really do. But I think that's just disrespectful to say that because it sounds so subservient, submissive, and it sounds like I'm speaking in a way of defeat. And I don't feel any ways. I don't feel defeated. I don't feel subservient. And I'm definitely not being submissive. But my body is just over it, right? This has just been going on since the beginning of time. And enough has been enough. And it's just at a head. And something has got to give when it comes to racism here in the United States. What do y'all think? Is this a sickness? Are people who just hating on people because of the color of their skin? Is something wrong up here? I won't say that. I'll say you just dumb. You deaf, dumb, and blind. You really stupid because if you did the history on who you are and where you come from, it's you hating yourself. Really, you really hating yourself. But I wanted to ask you guys something if you were aware of this, because when we're talking about if that was meism, we got a lot to unpack. We need to think about the reality of what we're saying, because it's almost like we're folding our arms and saying, yeah, that's him. That's him. So you see a brother or a sister pulled over on the side of the road. In my heart, I want to pull over and just observe. We need, what do we call them? Peacekeepers, peace officers in the community, people that are present like the Black Panthers would do, and stand around and make sure that these police officers, at least seeing our presence, know that we're watching. Not to say that really matters, because these dudes got cameras now. They got people with their phones watching. We got all this going on, and it's not stopping people or police officers and, these hateful demons that are walking around, doing harm to us. That's not stopping them. But I think that, we have to show our brothers and sisters that we are there. And once we're present, we have to be prepared to fight and protect those. I talk about George Floyd. There's no way. I know me, and it's easier said than done. I will agree, but I know me, knowing that a man is dying. I could not have just stood there and held my phone for 9 minutes and almost 30 seconds and watched him die. There would have been a distraction. The outcome may have not been, in the best interest of my well-being or those around me, but humanity has to kick in. We can't let fear control us. Do you know that there is a militia on demand called People's Rights, which has been described as a neighborhood watch on steroids? This organization has attracted tens of thousands of members and has sponsored more than 50 demonstrations across the country. So they're dispatching gun-toting activists to the home of politicians, health agency managers, and even police officers who have arrested a protester. So this is a militia on demand. And this is, of course, people who are considered Nazis or want to be white, that want to be supreme. They have a militia on demand to protect their interests and their people who support them. This group is headed by Ammons Bundy. If you guys don't know who he is, he's one of, he's infamous for the here in Nevada for it was a land issue that went on here in Nevada with grazing. And if you guys follow that story, you can't, anybody who's saying, oh, just comply when it comes to being arrested or pulled over. If you follow that story, then don't you, please. I mean, we got hundreds of stories where white men and women was wilding out with guns and acting up, and were able to walk away peacefully. I mean, recently we'll go into those stories as well. But Amon Bundy was one of those privileged white men who stood on his ground with guns. I want to say they actually shot at cops. The story, if anybody's watching, I know other people did follow. So if you remember the story, you can add to it, please. But they were gangster, and the cops would not budge. The cops did not rush in. The cops did not do anything to these men who were standing their ground, fighting over land and grazing. But anyways, this guy, Ammon Bundy, is one of the leaders, and this group again, the allows for white men and women to call on a group of independent armed people in America to be of service to them at an instant. You can call on them. And again, it's called the People's Rights. So they got a whole website, they got a whole movement going on, and they serious. Okay. Um, so these are the kind of people who are, pushing the agenda. They're talking about the COVID-19, or they're keeping that anxiety going on with people that they initiate. Their allies of Ammon Bundy and others have cultivated a dangerous new network. This is dangerous, you guys, of militia members, anti-maskers. These are all part of that whole Trumpism, right? Anti-maskers, conspiratists, preppers, looking to preppers, anti-vaxxers, and others into an army of followers. So this is Ammons Army. So I say this on the heels of 3 young teenagers in February who were shot, 2 who were murdered, Joshua Cole Cooper and Andy Reddick as well, and their friend Jalen Rice, who is in still fighting for his life. I'm not sure what the status of him is, as this happened in February, after being gunned down by a gas station by a hateful 31-year-old white man by the name of Joseph Bossard. And indeed, he is a domestic terrorist. So you have people like this who can just shoot up our boys and girls because they hate us and don't like us. And where's our demand? Who do we call? I mean, the police don't care. They'll kill us too. So the police, don't care. And I'm not saying all of them, but you don't know who you're gonna get. It's shout out to Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates when it comes to these people. Even though we pay for them to serve and protect us, we have a sense of insecurity about them doing their job. And we should not feel that way. Where else can you go and be disrespected or have your life taken? And it's okay. It's okay. You can just walk away and say, I was scared for my life. You can just walk away and say gun. You can just walk away and say taser. Who can I call? So I was listening to a show earlier as well, and the conversation was, who's the face of our leadership? When we go back in history, we know there was always someone that led us. Now, during the enslaved times, when people were enslaved, there wasn't a real face. If I could remember correctly, it was word of mouth. People knew where to go. The face was the church. The face was the song. The face was a hiding place and a meeting space. But it wasn't like a Malcolm X or a Martin Luther King or a member of the Black Huey P. Newton or someone, Stokely Carmichael, and all of these great men and women, the women as well, Harriet Tubman, Angela Davis. Those type of people were the faces of activism. So who's the face of white wannabe supremacy? There is no face. Trump kind of led that. He kind of was the face. He was out in the open. But these people really hide. They hide to the point that they don't even want to be known. So they infiltrate their way of staying on top and controlling and ruling and doing their demon things that they do, the evil things that they do, is by way of infiltrating important spaces being politics, being in the House, being in the Senate, being in the legislation, being in policing, being in the military. You're getting supreme training. Some of our police officers are actually being trained in Israel. And if you know the Israel and Palestine conflict, the Palestinians are having the same type of disrespect and treatment that us Black men and women are having here in the United States. They're being treated as if they are less than. So imagine you have Israelis who are treating the Palestinians like Black people, like we being treated here. and our police officers are actually going there and being trained under their ruleship. So just think about that. So, when we talk about if that was me, well, we have a militia of the people's rights who don't have to just say if that was me. If that is me, someone who looks like me, who supports me, who could be me, dial up and we'll be there. We got guns, we got weapons, we'll terrorize you. You see how they did the governor in Michigan? They pulled up at her house. What happened to those people? They went to that woman's house mad because she closed down the state because COVID was killing too many people. Too many people were catching COVID. And the numbers are back up there again. And it's the superbug now in Michigan now. But they went over there to bully that woman. These insurrectionists, they pull up. Who's the face of these people? Nobody really knows. We're coming to find out there are many faces within this militia of these people who not only have an issue with government, they also have an issue with Black and brown people. And who's the face for them besides Trump, who we've been able to silence, but not hearing them is not, silencing them isn't always the best answer, right? Because then you don't really know who your enemy is. But it's not hard. It's not hard to find out who your enemy is. But again, you have 3 boys who were killed by just a hateful man, a man who just hated them for no reason. These kids had done nothing to him. He just felt that he could do that. He was emboldened. He had the right to do that. You think about Tamir Rice, who was killed 12 years old by a police officer who thought he had a real gun and it was a water gun. Trayvon Martin. And this one really ticks me off because, I always call out to these wannabe rappers, these wannabe thugs. All they do is preach misogynistic lyrics, and all they do is preach about how easy they can kill somebody who looks just like them. But then you have somebody like Trayvon Martin who's in the ground because of a man who bullied him, fought him, and killed him, and he gets to walk free. Like, who is your enemy for real? And I'm not here to incite violence, but I'm just saying, why are we turning the anger and the hatred that's been fed to us on ourselves? And you're going to spew this in music that we listen to. You want to poison people's minds and condition them to believe that, the weapon is the way. Killing each other is the way. Killing over frivolous things, money, a level of power, respect, women, jewelry. But you got people walking around amongst us who are real predators. We out here saying prayers. Shout out to all of our religious Christian people who are out here praying, but it's people that are really praying on us in real life and not on TV. So, this is why I'm saying, if you smart, if that was me, but it is you. It is you. It's been you since we came here, since we were stolen from a country and brought here to the continent of the United States and enslaved. It's been us. And we've been fighting, trying to dig ourselves out of a hole that they tried to bury us in since then. So it is you. But who can I call on demand? When you have a group called the People's Rights, who they can call on at any time they have an issue, be it on a political level, or whatever issue they may have, whatever they're trying to change. They have they have the resources to be able to call somebody on demand and say, yo, I need y'all over here to handle this. And I'm giving you examples of stories, and you can go Google the hundreds of stories where police officers just kind of stand by and let them act up. You think about in Laughlin years back, there was a big shootout between, Hell's Angels and what's the other group? I'll find their name in a minute, but they had a big shootout and the cops just sat there with their arms folded. Let us be walking down the street. Let us have a air freshener hanging from our rearview mirror. Let us be minding our own business, barbecuing. Let us be in our own home sleeping. We get shot and killed. We get brutalized. We get beaten. But you can go have a whole entire shootout and the police officers don't even get involved to the degree that nobody in military suits or uniforms pull up. We go out and protest and demand that Black lives be recognized and respected and protected. And we get people militarized to the point where there are bills being passed so that our country can purchase more weapons with our tax dollars, our money, to be able to turn around and use it against people that look like me who are protesting, who are saying, no, hell to the no. You will not continue to kill us. And I'm not just going to stand here and let you do it. You can't just continue to get away with this. We deserve to walk these streets freely without the fear and the concern for our boys and girls, for our own selves. Damn, we deserve the right to sleep in our own beds without having the fear and the concern that we might have to wake up in the middle of a sleep to try to shoot ourselves, to shoot somebody, just keep ourselves alive. This is what we're going through, you know. So if that was me when I saw that, and what I'm speaking to is a story. It just burned me up when I saw it. It really burned me up. And this was Dante Wright, the young man who, damn, 20 years old, life was just snuffed from him driving, got pulled over with the air freshener. And the police officer decided, instead of letting him get back in his car, that she was going to make sure that he came with her. And so, by any means necessary, she made that happen by killing him. And, you know, the chief was quick to come out and say that it was a mistake, and on her behalf, and then resigned and allowed her to resign before she could be fired and lose her pension. You know, I think about that, but when I didn't watch the video again, I try to minimize the level of trauma that my brain is absorbing. But when I was reading the story and hearing what happened, it really, really triggered me when I started seeing people saying, if that was me, I'm mixing my stories up. But with Dante, I'm sorry, I'm mixing my stories up because I'm thinking about the young boy who was bullied in the neighborhood. But with Dante, that story bothered me because, again, here's a woman who all she had to do as a police officer is say she made a mistake, and a person is dead and gone, and that's all that matters, is that she made a mistake. It's okay that this person is dead and gone, never coming back, and that's just what it is. That's just, you know, just another hard day's work for a police officer. So that was the story of Dante Wright. And then you have the story that it triggered me and upset me was when I watched this video. The video I did watch was this army sergeant that was bullying a black pedestrian who was walking in his own damn neighborhood. Not that that matters. We shouldn't even have to have disclaimers and justification and have clean urine and clean background and all of the things that are required white skin to be able to walk around without being antagonized. So this army sergeant was bullying a black kid, and he was bucking up on him, big dude, talking about what he could do to him, threatening, trying to get him to leave. I don't know, some dummy recorded it. Of course, the black boy didn't, but this was all happening. You can tell the wheels were turning inside this young man's head because he knew that this could be a life or death situation, and he had to think on his feet. And God bless him for doing that, because once he was pushed, his first reaction could have been, just swing on this dude. And who knows what would have happened next? Who knows how this man is trained? He could be trained to kill, being an army sergeant. Who knows what skill set he has? And other way around, this boy could have had a man could have had a weapon on him, the black man, because I don't think they released his name yet, but could have had a weapon on him, and that could have changed his life forever, whether he killed this man or harmed this man or whatever. This could have changed his life for the worse forever. And all he was doing is walking on a beautiful day in a nice neighborhood. So what really triggered me is when I started seeing the comments that was, if that was me, I would have did that. That was me, I would have did. Oh, couldn't have been me. Oh, he got the right one. And I'm just thinking, what in the hell? Show me the next video when that street is flooded. When y'all over there saying, now what? That's what I want to see. I want to hear your comment. Oh, if that was me, if that was me. It is you. It is you. Trayvon Martin is you. That young man walking in the neighborhood is you. I have to think about when I walk out and go for a walk. I don't even want to walk alone. I have to wait and walk with my sweetie, because I don't want to be just somebody just standing waiting, somebody's prey. I don't want to be seen as somebody's prey. And there's some crazy, wicked people out here. So yeah, if that was me, that is me. I still have the fear walking around. I could have a gun on me. I could have a pocket knife. Shout out to nephew, rest in peace, who used to always tell me, keep your pocket knife with you. And he would play around with it and show you could just get him real good, real fast. And I'm not a violent person. I never want to use it. But the more I think about it, it's safer to carry than a gun. You can have pepper spray on you. You can have a taser on you. But why should you? Who's to say that you're going to be able to react in enough time to be able to save your life and defend yourself? And why should you have to walk the streets of the United States of America like that? This is not this ain't Iraq, okay? This is a free country. This is supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave. Why should I have to be fearful of somebody who ain't don't mean nothing to me? I mean, I ain't scared of you, but why should I have to feel like I have to walk around with a weapon just in case something goes down? I shouldn't have to live like that. So if that was me, it is you. But lo and behold, my heart was warmed when I did see a video trend because I was going in on people's social media saying, everybody's that was me. Everybody mad about it. Yes, we do. We have people with these large platforms or small. Yes, you should flood social media. Use it to expose these demons. I support that, just like I support protesting. Use your platform to expose these demons because if we didn't have this platform, if we didn't have that video, that sergeant would not be arrested right now, right? So shout out to his lieutenant, who is a black man. He was like, oh, not today, not today, and went ahead and arrested him and held him accountable. And I'm looking forward to, I think he was demoted. I hope they took some stripes away from him, but this sergeant was like, no, this not on my watch. You're not going to terrorize my people or anybody for that matter, right? But we're having this conversation. If that was me, it is you. So what are you going to do besides talk about it? When you're flooding the social media, I was like, South Carolina, stand up. Where y'all at? Listen, you can move stuff in masses. It don't have to be just one person. Y'all come in there deep. Y'all saw how they did. When these white people get together, they go to the whole Capitol and pull up deep, outnumbered. We should be the same way. We can't depend on the police to protect us and to serve us in a way that they should. We have to look out for each other. We are all we got. So if that was me, this is what I would expect my people to do. If I'm telling, I didn't got bullied, somebody's pushing me around, telling me I can't be on this street, I better get out of here. What you gonna do to me? And don't talk to my wife, and just being I expect people to pull up, be on that street. So I was so pleased when I did see that the community did come together, and I heard it was people that came in from different states that showed up in Georgia, and that just warmed my heart to see that. And what was really interesting, and I'm not taking anything away from my brothers, but it was a woman who was standing in the front. It was people in the back initially. This is only the video I've seen. This is just what I've seen. We can't, take everything on face value because you can only see what's being presented to you. But it was a woman. Shout out to Black women. We always in the front. It's just symbolic that we would be standing in front saying, come on, I just want to talk to you with our mask on. Say that stuff to me. Talk to me like that. Okay? I like my mug. All I need is coffee and mascara and lipstick. And y'all. So that warmed my heart to see that because I would have been so disappointed if they had never pulled up. And you run the risk. You run the risk of pulling up to somebody's neighborhood and people coming out with guns or police arresting you and beating you. But those are the types of things that you have to be prepared to do, unfortunately, in order to protect yourself. Like when we talk about George Floyd, a man had his knee on his neck for 9 minutes and nearly 30 seconds. And nobody, not the police officers, not the paramedics, not everybody standing by cussing him out and saying you killing him. Nobody thought to throw a rock, push him. I'm telling you, it's a lot of things I can say if that was me. But I just close your eyes and picture that being your baby boy, God forbid, your friend, your husband, someone you know and love. What? Your coworker, would you still just stand there and watch him die? Like, who deserves that? Like, there would be nothing wrong if you would have stood up and did something about that. So I just, we quick to judge, we quick to talk about what we would and wouldn't do, but we have to do more. The difference between a moment and a movement is sacrifice. Shout out to McCall who's watching on Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. She said, right, you just don't know what you'll do in a situation. You don't. But you have to think, you have to have preparedness. Why do you think there's training involved on a job? Why do you think there's training on a job? In the military, everything involves training. So you have to mentally prepare. You have to have a certain skill set to be able to deal with things that may happen unexpectedly. You have to be prepared. Shout out to Sugar Free. You stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Yes, when that adrenaline kicks in, who's to say? But we got to get out of that mind state. We got people that they can call, they people on demand and pull up to the governor's house and terrorize them and threaten them to affect change in laws and bills and whatever's happening that they disagree with. We have to have that same type of setup. We have to have people within our community not policing, because we can't depend on them. They don't look at us as a whole as people that need to be protected, even though we are an endangered species. They don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. So, and we shouldn't depend on them. We shouldn't have to give our tax dollars to them either. So I respect defunding. So yeah, you saying, oh yeah, but what you gonna do when they stop pulling up at your house? Well, we already have something in place to be able to protect our own, to call on people to defuse a situation or for protection. Then we don't need them. So I agree with defunding. It's a lot of good police officers. I have them in my family. I'm not taking nothing away from them. But why should we have to pay into a socialistic organization that allows for us to be slaughtered, allows for us to be murdered, allows for us, and they're the only profession that can get away with this, that has a license to kill. And you notice who they do it to the most: unarmed black men and women. Unarmed black men and women get it the worst. So, you have police officers, then you think about it. I'm saying with George Floyd, how I would have jumped in. Yeah, that could have caused me to get shot, killed, somebody else hurt. Yeah, that could happen. So you understand there is a psychological reason why in this society that we live in, we've been conditioned to be fearful. Shout out to Shanta Jackson. I was watching her show earlier. She had a special guest on that touched on that as well, who explained that we have been conditioned to be fearful. Even when we talk about the pandemic, there are certain levels of this I know and believe that they want us to have a level of fear. They working on me. They working on me because I just get sick when I leave the house, and there's nothing wrong with me, but my body just decides it wants to be sick because I'm in a dirty air environment. Like, I have allergies all the time. There's something to it, but they want us to have that fear factor so that they can have a level of control over us. When we're talking about people who stand up and speak out, especially police officers, shout out to Carol Horn, who just recently was awarded her pension after this was 15 years ago. Okay. She was fired from the job after intervening with her partner, police officer, who was literally killing a handcuffed black man. And she kind of pushed him off, like I said, I would have done in the George Floyd situation. And he punched her and she was fired and she lost her pension. So she was quick to get fired for saving a man's life. But you have a woman that killed Dante Wright is allowed to bow out gracefully and keep her pension. So she just got awarded her pension after 15 years after being fired for intervening with a police officer who was beating a handcuffed man. Okay, a handcuffed man. Stephen Nader, he also a police officer, was fired and sued for endangering others for not shooting a black man in 2016. So if you guys don't remember this story, it was a man who was having some mental health issues that was in the street. If you guys remember, he was just sitting in the street, and I think he may have had a weapon. But it was not loaded. He had an unloaded weapon, but at any rate, the police officer chose to defuse the situation rather than kill him because he was not endangering anyone else. But so he did not, shoot him. He did not kill him. He did not cause any physical harm to this man. Another police officer took the liberty, I'll let you guess what color he was, took the liberty to kill this black man. And again, the police officer who did not do anything was fired. And what he was told was that basically his argument was the gun was not loaded. He knew the guy was having mental health issues. He said if someone calls the police at their worst time, you don't want to give them the impression that you're not there to help. Damn. Sounds like a pretty, level-headed person. So, but RJ Williams was killed by another cop, as I stated. And they, fired the man who did not shoot him. And they said that they were making he was reprimanded and told that making a decision is better than making no decision at all. First of all, if he chose not to shoot and kill the man, that was a decision. And God bless him for having some type of respect for life, even if it was at the risk of his own life being taken. So if that was me, how would I have handled that situation? Would I have just shot a man and killed him? We see it all the time. You can Google anywhere in the news right now and you will see how white police officers diffuse and black police officers diffuse situations with white men and women, guns or no guns. They could be reaching for the gun, they could be waving the gun, they could be shooting. What about the man who just shot 200 rounds? 200 rounds. This just happened recently as well. Said he wanted to kill a police officer and was peacefully apprehended. Okay, peacefully apprehended. And again, you can guess the color. I don't need to tell you. So for those who think there, I don't even understand how you can not think that there isn't a racist. When you tell me, when I say Black Lives Matter, you say all lives matter, I automatically know that you're a racist. And racists hate to be called racist. Ain't that something? You guys ever notice that racists hate to be called racist? Then on the other hand, you have a black police officer. Now I just gave you two stories of two police officers who were black who chose to preserve human life and thought, you know, of other ways, you know, of diffusing a situation rather than killing a man. You can't come back from death. Then you have a Somalian police officer, Mohammed Noor, who came with his partner. Was a white woman call was reporting a 911 call. White woman was reporting what she thought was a rape in the alley, and they pulled up in the alley, in a dark alley, and she ran up on the car. And police officer Mohammed Noor was a passenger, got scared, and shot and killed the woman. He was booked doing 12 and a half years. They got one of the largest lawsuits awarded to them since the last one was, I want to say, was it a George Floyd, I think, just beat out the amount of money that this woman got. I don't remember how much it was, but just to give you an idea, it was one of the largest lawsuits awarded to a family that was killed by a police officer. But this black man was held accountable right away, no questions asked, 12 and a half years in prison. Now, again, you have a civil lawsuit. That's our tax dollars. So not only do you kill our people, not only do you get away with killing our people, but we have to pay for your mistake. We have to pay for your implicit bias. We have to pay for your hate. We have to pay for your prejudice. We have to pay out. So, you know, I got issues with this. I can't sleep and know that these people can just go out and do what they want to do, and they're not having any accountability. There is an imbalance of power. There is an imbalance of power. These cops are not worried about body cams. They're not worried about getting reprimanded. They're not worried about their income, their pension, their lawsuits. And then you have qualified immunity, which is something that, you know, people have been trying to get taken away. Qualified immunity is a legal principle that grants government officials performing discretionary functions immunity from civil suits unless the plaintiff shows that the official violated or clearly established statutory or constitutional rights of which a reasonable person would have known. So a lot of people can't even sue these cops. So there is no accountability. One quick solution is to make them have to buy their own insurance. You want to be on the police force, you need to have your personal insurance. So when you get sued, it comes out of your check. And these insurance companies, they're not with paying out. So it's gonna be hard to get bonded when, you know, your record is kind of sketchy, you know, and not even your record, but when they start licking that index finger and flipping through the pages of police brutality and the likelihood that this could happen, considering that you're serving a black community, then they're not going to be so quick to insure you. You think about in Minnesota, Dante Wright, rest in peace. No, none of those police officers lived in the community where they killed him. I think it was in Brooklyn. I know Brooklyn community in Minnesota. None of those police officers lived there. You don't know nothing about these people. You don't care to know. You don't care to know because you're so quick to tase and you're so quick to shoot. You know, even if I know it wasn't a mistake. I know it was a mistake. I know the difference between a gun and a taser all day. Okay. And you so quick to just take a life. You don't even think twice about it. And that goes back to the point that I made when we talk about, you know, those of our white allies who are not speaking up and speaking out. Dante was a mixed race young man. His mother is white. His father is black. Your white moms and dad, your black child can be killed. You know, if that was me, that is you. It is you. It is you. And that's how you have to look at it. So just talking about it and saying, oh, this is how I would have did. No, you have to do more than that, than to just talk about, you know, if that was me, what would you do? If that was me, what would you do? It's more to it. You have Joe Biden, who is trying to get the George Floyd Act bill passed, struggling to get that passed. Um, and what it is the George Floyd Act with Joe Biden is I mean, I would encourage you to go to the website because there's a lot of information in regards to it. But just in short, it's the HR 7120. And it's basically to hold law enforcement accountable for misconduct in court, improve transparency through data collection, and reform police training and policies. So this would include, just looking at what I've read from it, this includes having a unified database to where anything negative, positive on within your policing is documented for the public to see, right? For the public to see that is documented. Also, some of the things we talked about, getting rid of qualified immunity, making them accountable financially with their own insurance. Also, different things. So I would encourage you to go to it's www.congress.gov backslash bill backslash 116th Congress. So just go to the congress.gov and look up the HR 7120 bill. And some people will say, well, he can just executive order this. He can just make all of these changes. Because once you read it, I think that you would like it. But you can make all of these changes with an executive order, but all that is you signing off saying, while I'm in office, not under my watch. And then the next president comes in, because he can only do 2 terms max, comes in and can say, no, we want to do reverse things back. We've seen that happen in so many different situations with different presidents, Trump being one for sure. In some countries, there's not even, police officers don't even carry guns. And I know that's easier said than done in a country that we live in, when guns outnumber the population here. But I think we just got on the wrong foot with all of this. And we talk about, if that was me, we got to think about it is us, and rather than just talking about it, rather than just saying how you would react to it, pull up, show some support, show that we are not with this. We got time today to speak up and speak out, and not allow you to do this. You may think that you can get away with this, but you cannot. Policing is historically, was the inception of it was through slave patrol and watchmen. This was there was a policing fugitive law, I want to say in 1850, that would, award people who would capture those who were enslaved. And remember, once you're freed, after we were freed in 1865 and just let out into the streets, then there was a law for loitering. Where do you go? You don't have a home. You've never had a home. You've always belonged to someone. You've never had anything. So now we can arrest you for loitering, but where do you go? How does that work? It's the same thing here. You pulling people over for air fresheners in a pandemic, for no insurance in a pandemic, when you can't even get your driver's license right now? Really? And I really believe that these people are trying to incite a race war against us. I really do. I think they work in overtime to incite a race war, because it's just too blatant. I know that having access to video and having access to social media and just having more public access, we're going to see it more. Not that it's not happening more, but we're going to see it more, because we've been knowing this since I've been alive. Like I said, I go back to Rodney King. When that video came out, as sad as I was to watch this man being beat, I was so happy that the world got to see what I had been knowing happening, witnessing happening in our community since I had been around. So it was just such a relief, and it was a slap in the face. It was a slap in the face, but it was definitely a relief, because I thought that change was going to come from that happening, and of course, it hasn't. So I always like to reiterate as well that I read, when you think about, when you say, if that was me, I always like to point out the fact that, we talk about being enslaved. Oh, that couldn't have been me. Oh, we talk about when people being beat and hosed down during the civil rights movement. Oh, that couldn't have been me. And I just say to that, whatever you are doing now in these same conditions, because we are experiencing the same stuff that our ancestors did, we are. This, if, whatever you are doing right now, if that's just sitting on your couch eating popcorn and watching, talking about it, protesting in the streets, going to your local leaders and demanding bills be changed, passing out petitions, sitting by and just talking about it, not doing anything, whatever you doing, partying, tuning everything out, just happy to get your paycheck, not worried about nobody else, saying if that was me. Whatever you are doing right now, that is the same energy you would have had being an enslaved man or woman. That is the same energy you would have had when people were being lynched in the thousands for just trying to get the right to vote, because that would have helped bring about change for us as it has. We still got a long way to go, but that we need all of us to come together and understand that. There's a book, As a Man Thinketh, also As a Woman Thinketh, and I would encourage people to read it. I gotta go find mine. I got a bunch of books buried in my garage, and I gotta go find, because I used to love reading that, As a Woman Thinketh. And one of the quotes in there says, "Don't hate the oppressor, hate the oppressed. Don't hate the oppressor, hate the oppressed." If that was me, hate the if that was me's. Wag your finger if at the if that was me's, because if that was me's are more than those who try to oppress us. They are a smaller percentage. They are a smaller percentage. You know, and there was another question. You think about that boy lived to see another day. That man, I hate to keep calling my boy. I don't know his age. He looked young. He looked like he could have been my son, but who knows? He could have been an adult male over 20 or a teenager. I'm not sure, but people saying how they would have responded to the situation. He lived to see another day, and he handled that the best way he knew. And not to say that it couldn't have went left. This man could have had a weapon, but he chose not to physically fight at the time. And God bless him for making it through, because I know his mother or father or anyone who loves him is very happy that he's here, regardless of how the situation happened, what the outcome was. They are overjoyed that they have another day to hug and love on him. So, the question becomes, do we want to be right, or do we want to be alive? Do we want to be right, or do we want to be alive? And, we can walk away from a situation and then get together on demand, like these white militias are doing, and get our people to pull up. Because that's exactly what should have happened. Okay, I got you. Yeah, okay, you push me. Then you turn around and you pull up. We pull up on demand. Yeah, okay, we can't walk. Where? We can't walk? Who died and left you in control of the planet? Listen, I got a message for anybody who don't like people, black people, people of color. Fly y'all asses off the earth. Please do us a favor, okay? Because it's way, way, way more of us than it is you. So you are going to have a hell of a life trying to live amongst us, and think that you're going to continue to terrorize us and make us feel uncomfortable about walking these streets, okay? Because, in a lot of these situations, you might not be able to get the person, but they got people that love them. They can feel our pain, and I'm saying something. I am saying something. So, it's a lot. We talk about if that was me. And quiet as kept, the Navy and Marines are very quietly getting rid of Nazis. So you can read this story. It's MSNBC. Before we wrap it up. For decades, the U.S. Navy and the Marine Corps have quietly kicked out some of the worst white supremacists in their ranks, offering them administrative discharges that leave no public record of their hateful activity. Okay. And this is according to USA Today. So they're going in and they're looking for these people, and they're allowing them to just leave, nothing on paper. So again, we have people in high places that aren't known as the face of white wannabe supremacists, but they are infiltrating places of power. They're allowing these people to come in and get training, slap their hands and say, we got to let you go. But nobody's going to know that you hate black people. Nobody's going to know that you're going to go shoot up and kill a bunch of black people when you get the opportunity, or three young boys at a gas station, when you get the opportunity, or a young black boy walking. If that was me, if that was me, if that was me, okay? I'm just saying, if that was me, what would you do besides just talk about it? Okay? What would you do? Who can I call on demand? Who can your daughters and sons and mothers and parents call on demand? Who can we call? Who can pull up for us when that is me, when that is you? Who are our leaders? Do we need a face, or do we just need a place? Do we just need a number? Do we just need us to all infiltrate positions of power and take back our rights, our human rights? Do we need a face? If that was me, if that was me. It's a lot. It's a lot, you guys. And I'd appreciate you guys that are watching live on Facebook and YouTube, and listening to me. Feels good to be able to talk about this to you guys publicly. So thank you so much. Eric Garner's, the Army lieutenant that was bullied, remember him? Army Lieutenant Caron Nazario. I think I want to say he was Afro Latino. He was pepper sprayed, and the guy who did this to him told him that he better be afraid, and you're gonna be, ride the lightning. A police officer. His wife, the lieutenant, is Eric Garner's cousin. And remember Eric Garner? They gave him a pretty rough ride, and took his life savagely as well. Dante Wright, George Floyd's girlfriend, she was his teacher. So our worlds are so interconnected and close, you guys. If that was me, it is you. It is you. It is you. And we have to stick together, and we need to form places of refuge like the church used to be, but even bigger and stronger, and be prepared for people who just hate us. It's unfortunate, but it's the world we live in, you guys. It's the world we live in. It is you. If you enjoy the show, thank you for watching. Hit the like button. Um, Tell your friends about it. You can follow me on Instagram and in your ear, LV. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll talk to you next Saturday. Bye bye.